Hello, thanks for joining me. I'm Hunter, the creator of Hunter Reviews. So you guys, some of you guys liked the behind-the-scenes thing I did for the Last Jedi review, that bit at the beginning. Well, this one's even more intricate, longer, and had a lot more work go into it. So I figured, yeah, why not do this one? So anyway, we start off here at the beginning as usual. That's there's an X-wing that goes by once again. It's the same effect as the last one. If you guys saw the last one, that's the effect that went into it. Alright, so this is where things start getting complicated. You'll notice that there's two layers of the same planet here, and let me just show you that right there. And yes, once again, it's the entire planet, like in the last review, but the problem that I was trying to fix was these two corners up here had nothing in them, so it would just have been blank instead of the star field. So I took this image and like sort of cropped it in to the point where like you can't even see it. Like if I take out the back image, you get some blank space up there, and that just looks awful. So I did this, and then very carefully determined the speed at which it moves down with the other one to the point where it's pretty unnoticeable. So then we get to the ruins of Coruscant, which is it's sort of this particular set of reviews takes place in sort of a, I don't know, I haven't really decided, but I want to do this like side series called Star Horse, which is set in an alternate reality Star Wars universe, and it's all shot similar to the opening to this, which is why it's a big and ambitious project. So we get the aluminum Falcon coming into view here. I used a I had the frame sort of start off right here, and then as it moves through the frame, it kind of gets smaller to make it look like it's moving away from the camera a little bit. And otherwise, it's just a still image. It works pretty well on camera. The back there, the engine sort of glow, I guess. It doesn't really look like it's glowing, but I just took some, a marker in paint.net, painted some lines on it, and then lowered the opacity of it to a point where it was a bit transparent. So then we cut to the interior here, and I used the same thing that I did in Last Jedi. It's just two layers piled on top of one another, which they never overlap, so it looks fine. But it's Hunter on this side, Lyra on this side. Let's be quick with this. I don't want to stay too long. Can't stand this place. The interior noises I brought over from our Last Jedi review, as well as the engine noises and everything. I just have one audio file that has all of them, which also includes a hyperdrive sound, but I actually used a different hyperdrive sound for this. I'll get into that. This effect is similar to the the aluminum Falcon flying down to Coruscant. It starts up here, and then as it moves through the frame, it gets bigger, to the point where it gets to here, where it's actually smaller than the frame itself. Make it look like it's zooming through the city. Try and land on the south side. There's a staff. The gun that Hunter has in this is, it's, here, I'll show you. It's a colorized, DL-44 heavy blaster pistol. The same blaster that Han Solo uses. But this one is this one uses sort of a Princess Luna color scheme, and it also, if you zoom in, you can make out the size of the image wasn't very good, but it's the Ministry of Strategic Services logo. In the Star Horse universe, they operate a little bit differently from the one in the regular Hunter Reviews universe, but they still exist. And it sort of just like pops up into frame. It's a basic effect that I don't think I need to go over. Okay, so if the Jedi Order's ego, there's two major parts that went into this one shot. This one shot itself took maybe an hour because the interior for the Millennium Falcon, this is the same backdrop we use for the actual review. It's the same backdrop we use for Last Jedi as well. But it's the same backdrop, but with all of the stars removed. This is one image that I pulled off of a search. And then I took some pink lines and outlined all of the windows because pink has no earthly business being in this shot. And then just erased all of the pink and erased everything inside of the pink to clear out the window so I could actually get the shot correct. And this is the result. It came out really good, and the reason I wanted to spend so much time on it was because I intend to use this multiple times in future reviews. The shot behind it itself is actually an image from, it is an image of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, but it's, I found the image on, I think, Wikipedia. It was an image for the sacking of Coruscant, which was a huge battle that it either took place in the extended universe or it took place in the actual Disney canon. But this actually had a number of ships flying around. I had to CG out some Star Destroyers that were up here. There was a ship flying through the city here. I took that out. There was some laser blasts going around. I just took a clone stamp tool to most of the image. Obviously, the fire and smoke I couldn't do anything about. And that tower right there, that tower is clearly falling down, but I decided to just leave it like that because it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm looking to create something awesome here, but I'm not looking to create something perfect. Like, it's not perfect, but it suits my needs. And this actually wasn't the first image I was going to go with. I was originally going to go... It looked more like a painting, but it had, like, debris and stuff flying around all over the place. You can look it up if you search, Jedi Temple Ruins, I believe. You can find it. You'll come across it eventually. I don't even think I got this from searching Jedi Temple Ruins, but it is a shot of the Jedi Temple, and the lighting in it actually fit pretty well with the establishing shot that I put in. And then to make it look like they were actually just flying towards the temple, I just had the back image here zoom in, and it came out really, really good. If the Jedi Order's ego was smaller, we'd be searching a smaller building, and this would take less time. Now, it is a little bit crooked, and I wasn't tremendously happy about that, but if I didn't straighten it out, they would have been going up to, like, the corner here, and they don't really have any business to be going over to that corner, because then it looks like they're flying past the temple. My phone just went off. I'm still getting comments coming in about this review. It just went up, so... This is a standard pan shot as the Falcon moves into frame, but actually, this one, the Falcon's huge. Because, like, you can see here, the frame that we have for it is really, really small as it moves. It's just a standard pan in to the side, and then it stops, which is where we get that brake sound effect. I really wanted to put the brake sound effect because, like, the Millennium Falcon and its aluminum Falcon counterpart, for all intents and purposes, is a space truck. It's a freighter. So I figured it should have, like, some brakes on it or something. Just add a little bit of, like, humor on it. And actually, the background for this had to go through a similar editing process as this image and editing out the Star Destroyers, because this shot... this is actually a shot from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It's from, I think it's from the prison, and there were actually clone troopers lined up on this side and this side, which had to be CG'd out. And then I took a visual filter and made the whole image appear a little bit more orange, so it looked like we were actually still in the sunset that was going on in the previous two shots, as like here and here. So I adjusted the lighting a little bit just to make this fit in as well with the rest of the review. And then we cut into these interior shots of the Jedi Temple, which were actually surprisingly easy to find. And what I wasn't expecting to find was the shots in like, these are shots from the movie, actually, and they came like pre-edited. They edited out the characters that were in the shot at the time, which I was actually pretty surprised to see that that was a thing. Anyway, so then Hunter, he pulls out the communicator. It's the same effect as him pulling out the blaster. The communicator is actually... I just looked up Star Wars communicator and found this pretty easily. I edited out the white background that it had and then CG'd it into his hoof. For this review, I actually came up with a better hoof a better disembodied hoof to use This one's a little bit longer than the ones that I've been using, so I could do a bit more with it. And then I just CG'd the communicator into his hoof, so I'm not editing two separate layers. Because when I'm working with two separate layers, I have to get the speed of both of them correct, and that can take a little bit more time. It's just easier to put the two together and then have it like pop into frame. And the way it works is that the bottom of the hoof never appears in frame, and it works out pretty well. So then we cut back to the interior.
We're gonna need to get out of here pretty quick if they show.
All the spike vectors were pulled off of MLP Vector Club on DeviantArt. They have a large enough selection for me to work with. If people ask, what does Spike do aboard the Aluminum Falcon? He's a gunner. He's just a gunner. He works the guns. So it's just the same. It's just the same interior effect. Only this time, Hunter has been replaced with Spike. It's the same layer work that's going on.
Show up.
Who's they?
The "who's they" comes from the same Robot Chicken skit as "What the hell is an Aluminum Falcon?" It comes from the Emperor and everything, and I wanted to keep that pattern going. Just that he's that he has that voice, because I don't know, it seems fitting, actually. I like it. And also the radio sound effect, the radio filter.
We're gonna need to get out of here pretty quick if they show up.
As you can see from the little red marker up here, it raises the volume of Hunter's voice just a tiny bit, but it was actually a really simple effect to pull off. It was a resonant filter with it was actually a preset, and the preset is called, it's all the way down the bottom, it's called, I shit you not, it's called Teenage Late Night Radio by the Bed. So it's really easy to find this, and and it worked really well. It worked so well, in fact, that I put it into a plug-in chain that I could just pull out like really quickly. And actually, this review produced 2 of those that I'll be able to use for future reviews. This is one of them.
Who's they?
You're on a need-to-know basis.
The message we got. This shot was from the same search, Jedi Temple Interior, and this one actually had 2 different versions. Let me see if I held on to the other one. Probably did. This is every single asset that went into the review, by the way. All the voice slides, all the image files, everything. I don't know if I held on to it, though. Oh, wait, here's the original image I was going to go with for the Jedi Temple. Like, the lighting, I would have to adjust the lighting a little bit, but it would have worked. It would have. I'm not saying it wouldn't have, but I like the other shot a little bit better. There was also this shot that never quite made it in. 'Cause I just never saw a need to use it. This right here, this is the shot that we're looking at. There was another one with better lighting. It honestly looked like someone was comparing graphics between 2 game consoles. Which makes a bit of sense, because this looks like it's from a game. Also, Hunter is just CG'd into a... I can, like, move him around in a similar way that I move everything else around, except just with no movement. I just move the frame around. It's a relatively easy effect, and that's why this one, he's also way off to the side in the next shot, which is this one. Then we cut back to the interior, and then we cut over to this, and this, it's, the map I actually had to put a fair bit of work into. I'll show you this right now. The map, I searched up map kiosk on a Google search and came up with this one. CG'd out a couple of the things that were around it, and then searched up Jedi Temple map, and actually, if you zoom in, the pixelation just destroys it, but there's actually a tiny "You Are Here" sticker slapped onto the map, and I actually had to, like, compress the map down so that it would fit onto the thing, so the pixelation just completely destroys it. But it's an actual map of the Jedi Temple, and actually on the map there are 2 separate council chambers, like he mentions in the review itself.
It says there's a Jedi High Council and a Council of Reconciliation. Which one do I go to?
And there actually is a Jedi High Council and a Council of Reconciliation. You know what? I'm just gonna flip a coin. The coin is, once again, it's I think I used the smaller hoof for this, but it's, I just searched equestrian bit, came up with this, and then just edited it into his hoof, which again, it's easier if I'm just working with one layer when doing these movements. Then there's just a basic zoom into the tower here. Hunter steps into the frame. Basic effects. The Gatekeeper, which is not a name drop, by the way. You mentioned the Gatekeeper name in the Emoji Movie review. The Gatekeeper is, she always has to have this weird whisper effect whenever she's on camera or like in the same room as Hunter. Like I'm not gonna reveal too much about the character because, like, the Gatekeeper is we're slowly developing this character as the season goes on, and whether or not we're ever gonna get a face reveal, that's up in the air as of right now. The interior shots for this whole section here are actually all part of, it was a Gmod map that I went in and took all the pictures at all these angles. And the map is actually of the it's the Coruscant map from Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2005, which worked out really, really well. Anyway, so then we have just him say, "Oh, I thought you were Sith," you know, because you could shoot lightning out of your hands. Anyway, so then we get one of my favorite effects, which is to have the gatekeeper fade out to reveal something behind it and behind the gatekeeper, and that is the lightsaber sitting on the chair, which was actually just sort of propped there while in frame, so that it's just sort of sitting up there against the chair. Okay, so then he goes up and grabs the thing. Now, the way I pulled off the lightsaber, like, coming out of the hilt effect is, it's actually a relatively simple effect. This is the basic hilt vector that I have readily available. This one's a bit longer, because this one is the same vector as this, but with the actual beam CG'd out, so that it's relatively easy. You just take the image and then you just replace it with the beam image, and to do the effect of it coming out, I used a linear wipe, which it's not the best looking effect, but it works for what I need it to do, which is this. Really? Yellow? That's the best color we could come up with, huh? There is a reasoning behind the yellow, and that's because yellow lightsabers are used by Jedi Sentinels who actively seek out and destroy the dark side, which is pretty fitting for Hunter, because he actively seeks out and destroys bad movies. But also they're mainly used by Jedi spies, which the Ministry of Strategic Services is all about that. Then there's another shot here.
Look, Disney's growing stronger.
The lightsaber sound effects were pulled from a number of places. The lightsaber activation sound effects, and the other one of him putting it away. They were both pulled out of video games, Star Wars Jedi Outcast. That's what they were pulled. The humming effect was pulled off of a YouTube video, which it's really hard to find these like looping sound effects that don't go on for 10 hours, but I found one for the lightsaber, which worked out pretty well. And this right here is just basic layering. We have the gatekeeper on the bottom here, shrunk down to fit into the background here. Looks like they're standing like right there. It's a she. I'm just gonna say it's a she, so I can stop saying it. Then the lightsaber edited to look like he's holding it, and then Hunter on top, off to the side here. Same thing's going on right here. Okay. What I did to get it to actually sheath at that angle, without the effect without the other thing going on, just it in basic frame is. Well, I cheated a little bit, and I used some copy and pasting techniques that I picked up. This is it in its basic shot. And then what I can do is I can actually go down here, and I can copy this, which then I can take that, move it over to the other one, and then paste it in. So they're in the same frame, which means that I don't actually have to move it. So he could be holding it sideways, like a rapier, or like or like he's pointing it at someone, and then like draw or sheath the beam. I'm gonna call it drawing and sheathing, so just because it's a laser sword. It's just easier for me to use sword terminology. I think I know what I need to do. Alright, so the alarm sound effect was also pulled out of Star Wars Jedi Outcast, which it's actually an expanded universe game. The dashboard shot, that was actually pulled off of a search for Millennium Falcon dashboard. The background of it actually is the establishing shot that we used for Coruscant, but it's zoomed in a fair bit. And then the dashboard is on top of it. I had to CG out the windows, much in a similar fashion to what I did in the other interior shot. And then the radar screen is a GIF that I pulled off of a search, and it worked out really, really well, actually.
Oh no, it's the cops!
The "oh no, it's the cops" was a Vine that I managed to find, which is ironic because the last line that Lyra had in Last Jedi was also from a Vine. So that's kind of, it's kind of becoming a pattern at this point. The radio, I searched, I forget what I searched to find that particular radio, but I wanted like a plain radio that you hold it up to your face. It's like an intercom radio, and that's what Lyra's talking through right there. It's a bit big, but I couldn't make it any smaller.
Get the fuck outside! Run!
I applied the same radio effect that I did from Hunter earlier to that particular line, which was, that's actually pulled from a... I used that video a lot. It's from a video called Some Guy Yells at Some Cats, which contains a lot of swearing and a lot of yelling at cats.
Get the fuck outside! Run!
The sound effect at the end there, the radio sound effect, actually also, I think that also came from Jedi Outcast, which was happy little coincidence. I didn't have to go through too many sound sources for this one. So he cuts over to the window here. For the Disney Star Destroyer, I searched up Disney Star Destroyer, found this one, which had the Mickey Mouse ears, which is what I was going for. I cropped out the background so that I could actually work with it, and it didn't look all weird and stuff. And then for the hyperspace effect, I used this similar effect from the last review, which was with the Death Mickey. But unlike the Death Mickey, this comes in from the other side of the screen, and this one actually has somewhat bit of a blue tint to it. The Disney cruise ships are actually to thank for the horn effect that is going on there, the horn sound. I just searched up Disney cruise ship horn on YouTube and found that one relatively quickly. Actually, I didn't need anything crazy. I just wanted the Disney Star Destroyers to have horns. I haven't decided, like, if for later reviews I'm gonna have different horn effects for different Star Destroyers, because I know there's more than one horn song that they play on those ships. But yeah, it came out really well, and this is just, once again, the zoomed-in image of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Those things have horns? I didn't know that! And then this, just a basic fade-out of the Gatekeeper.
Way out. Well,
another simple pan in.
now what?
The laser effect, I took what I learned from the Last Jedi review. It's a gradient wipe as it comes into frame, and then it's in frame for a full second, and then the same gradient wipe to make it disappear from whence it came, and the effect makes it look like there's a laser going by his face. And then it's,
Oh, jeez!
he's supposed to, like, fold down, like sort of like a book falling down. That's kind of what I was going for with that. It's just a basic sort of tilt over to the side. It's not perfect, but it works. Alright, so this particular shot was very particular because I had to put laser on top of laser on top of laser on top of laser. I took the same laser and, like, put it in different places all across the, all across this particular shot. And, at the same time, the stormtroopers, I originally wanted to use stormtroopers that also had Mickey Mouse ears, but there weren't enough for me to find, so I decided to go with First Order stormtroopers because those are, like, original to Disney. And they look stupid already because they all got kitty faces. So I took one layer, and, I took one layer here at the bottom, and, as you can see here down at the bottom, I edited 3 together. I just searched all these up on a Google search and came up with plenty of backgroundless stormtroopers to work with. But yeah, I put them down the bottom, and then I had, like this guy up in the corner, and then at the same time, like, we have this guy running through the... Wait, not this guy. Where is he? There's several stormtroopers that run through the frame here. Anyway, they're all up top. Accidentally moved that. Like, there's couple of stormtroopers that just sort of move through the frame here, and the single stormtrooper, and then these 3, I edited these 3 together so that they look like a squad running into the room, just to make it look just a little bit more hectic. In reality, there's not a lot going on in this shot. And then this guy down the bottom here, he folds up from down below, which... It's another basic effect. He just sort of flips into existence. Sort of like a book falling down, but in reverse. So anyway, he pops up, and for his laser blast effect, I didn't even bother CGing it. So I just put it in, like, bang, 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 bang. There isn't even a fade on this one, because it's a machine gun, and... They're coming out so fast, it's just not worth it at that point. All of the blaster sound effects are actually from First Order blaster rifles. There was a video on YouTube that had all of the sound effects for the blaster rifle, which is the F11D blaster rifle. Originally, I was going to go with... DC-15A sound effects, which is the clone trooper rifle, but then I decided that I have the sound effects for First Order stormtroopers. I might as well go with that. Well, the kitty-faced stormtroopers got up here fast. Lieutenant, I think I'm gonna need a lift. This particular face vector is new for this review, and actually what I did was I used a similar technique as I did in the last one that we saw. I just flipped this image horizontally, because, like, if I don't flip it horizontally, he's over there. But then I flip it horizontally, and he's right there, because normally the vector is facing this way. I flipped it horizontally, so it's facing this way. I flip around Lyra in the cockpit in the same way, actually. Let me see if I can, yeah, because originally Lyra is facing this way, but the image is flipped, so I have her facing the other way. I also used that same vector in the Last Jedi review.
Lieutenant, I think I'm gonna need a lift.
I can just jump out from the top of the tower. I can fly. We keep forgetting that.
I put the radio effect over pretty much every single effect going on in this particular shot, except for the Millennium Falcon engine noise, which I think there's actually supposed to be another one that goes before that. I don't know what happened to that, but all of the sound effects in this are I put the radio effect over, so it sounds like there's a gunfight going on through the radio.
I can just jump out from the top of the tower. I can fly. We keep forgetting that.
The Hunter's, you can actually hear Hunter's blaster in the background there, which is the pow, that sound effect, which is actually, I searched Han Solo blaster sound effects, which is the I think it's the DL-44 heavy blaster pistol, though I could be wrong around that. It actually should be in here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. It's the DL-44 heavy blaster pistol. It's modeled after a Mauser, actually. It actually also is, like, in the movie as well. This particular shot of Darth Mickey, I just took I searched up for like a back shot of Darth Vader, and then searched for black dinner plates. I shit you not, I did that. CG'd them onto the back of his head and then just went with that. Hello? Why'd you guys stop shooting? I was really starting to think that I had a... Oh, that's why. Now, the chair shot was interesting, because what I did was, I took the original image, which was this, I took it into my Photoshop program, Paint.net, which is like Photoshop, only it's free, and then, like, you just CG'd the chair out into its own separate image, put that, put the original image on the bottom, Hunter in the middle, and then the chair on top, so it would look like he's peeking out from behind the chair. And the effect came out actually better than I thought it would, because I thought that it was going to take forever to put the effect together, but the CG process actually didn't take too long. That's why. Darth Mickey was actually relatively easy to find. But for future reviews, I'm gonna need to find something better than what I have here, because what I have here is actually, well, I'll show you the full image. From what I can tell, Darth Mickey's actually assembled from a whole multitude of different parts, because some of these are darker than the other ones. This boot is the wrong color, this one, and I didn't have to do anything too extensive for this review, but for future reviews, I'm probably going to need something better. And the breathing sound that he does, it's actually, I didn't want to go with the original Darth Vader breathing sound, so I decided to go with, Mickey Mouse does his laugh like, ho-ho! So I wanted it to, I decided I would do his laugh, but really slow, and in Darth Vader's voice, so it goes, ho, ho. It's just a minor thing that I didn't put that much thought into, but it works. Darth Mickey. Well, this is a horrible surprise.
Our Disney empire built on top of a cartoon mouse will destroy all that you hold dear. Ho-ho!
The voice effect for, Darth Mickey is a culmination of a whole bunch of different things. First of all, it's me doing the Mickey Mouse voice. Ho ho! Then it's a bit of reverb, some pitch shift. I lowered the pitch by about -4 semitones. Then preserve the duration so that it isn't all slowed down. There's some multi-tap delay and some express FX equalization, which is some bass boosting. There's the reverb is it adds a little bit of echoes because the voice echoes around in his helmet. And then the multi-tap delay, which was I forget which effect I applied to it because I put everything into one package like I did with the radio effect. And it came out really, really well.
Yeah, well, you can't get me to come out from behind this chair.
The slight movement there is just another simple panning effect that just happens to move down behind the chair.
Our plan was to destroy the chair too, pony boy!
You know what, Mickey? I'd love to stay and chat, but I got places to be.
Alright, so the stormtrooper being thrown out of the window was more of a difficult effect to pull off than you might think, because there's like 5 different points here. Like there's the first point, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and then the 5th one where he's actually off camera. But also, I took the original image here, and then it was actually really easy to, like, edit out the building off to the side here, so I took that and edited that a couple layers up, and then put the stormtrooper below that layer so that it would look like he's coming out from the building. So the bottom image is here, the stormtrooper is here, and then the top layer is here. And of course I had to put the Wilhelm sound effect in there. That's actually the second Wilhelm sound effect. The first one is mixed in with the gunfight that's happening over the radio.
Peace out, Mickey, you corporate douchebag!
And then the Hunter flying away vector right there is edited in on the same layer as the Stormtrooper. This shot of the Jedi Temple is actually from the movie, and I don't think I actually had to CG out too... Oh, no, wait, no, there was like a ship here mixed in with the smoke, so I CG'd the ship out. And then put the Millennium Falcon, the aluminum Falcon right there, I'm sorry. Just edited it into frame, it's relatively small. And then Hunter, I had to build a new vector for him, like, make it really, really small. But it's good because all of the vectors that Hunter Reviews uses are enormous. Some of them go up to, like, 5,000 pixels in height. They're enormous. So I had to make a new vector, just make him incredibly small, so that because the original vector was too big, I couldn't zoom him out far enough to the point where it actually looks like he's flying up and into the Millennium Falcon, aluminum Falcon. It's a Falcon.
Come on board, punch it!
I used the same pan effect from the first establishing shot for this bit, and then for the Falcon, it starts small down low, but then gets big up above. It's basically the first effect, but in reverse. It works out really well. And it looks really well on the finished product as well.
We need to get back to our super secret base, and also figure out...
his face is actually just a separate vector, and I used the same, actually this is a new one. I took the hoof that we've been using, flipped it over, got rid of the little bit that sticks out here, just to make it look like the top is like flat, and then just CG'd the lightsaber underneath that. Again, working with one image here. I actually could have worked with more than one layer here, but I decided against it. And then the hyperspace sound effect took forever to sync up with the actual effect, and the hyperspace effect itself actually took longer than I would have liked to have looked for it. Sorry, throat's getting dry. Ugh. And then we get into the actual review, which is mostly just Hunter CG'd on top of that image that we've already seen. There is the sort of tilt effect that I do with the logo here. And then I actually appeared on camera in this review, which that one is just XSplit combined with the webcam. There's a couple of other things, but things don't get really too extensive until the end, which is I took this image and then and then took a snapshot of it with the save snapshot function that Sony Vegas has. Switched over to that so I could actually do the iris fade out to the actual credits, and I actually used a fade effect between the between all of the text this time, and kept the patrons on screen for a bit longer, which is what I should have done in the original, but I didn't. And then we have the outro logo, which is with the outro here is the speeding bullet, which is just like, okay, everything's back to normal now. No longer in a galaxy far, far away. Let's get on with our lives. And the whole thing took probably the opening took a full 2 days of work, a full 2 days, and then the actual like the whole review bit took probably less time with that, and probably less time than that. That I actually was able to hammer out over the course of the weekend, and yeah, it just goes to show how much more work goes into the opening bit for these compared to the actual review itself. It's insane, and I don't intend to stop with these either, because they're fun to do and I get way more freedom with it. So that's behind the scenes of Hunter Reviews Solo: A Star Wars Story.